Okay, the market for building a PC is crazy expensive right now. RAM and storage are one of those transactions where it feels like you got ripped off. Dare I say, it makes consoles look enticing, like a pig with makeup, but I'd much rather have a PC. With some effort, it's still possible to put together a gaming PC on a strict budget. For this video, I wanted to keep the total cost under $600. For that price, it won't be brand new, and you'll have to resort to the secondhand market. I'll tell you which parts I bought used and new, show you how to assemble it, go over the performance in a few games, and if by the end you think this is a good build for you, then everything is linked down below. I want to start where I'll end with the GPU. This is the most crucial part for a budget PC. Not only is it a huge factor in deciding the full amount you'll spend, but also what kind of performance you can expect in games. For this computer here, I had three options to choose from. Two from NVIDIA, or GreedVidia now, and then one from AMD. Two of the options will keep you under the $600 budget or right at it, depending how you shop, and I will refer to that a lot, and the other option will set you over the $600 budget. I opted for the most affordable GPU to shine some light on the budget PC space, but later on when I get to the benchmarks, I'll show some comparisons between the three models in some games. It holds up pretty well in the big 2026. Just because it's the cheapest doesn't mean it sucks. I'll set it aside for now while I talk about the CPU choice. I went with the AMD Ryzen 5 5500. This is the most popular and affordable brand new CPU that's on the AM4 platform, aka the GOAT of affordable PC gaming. It's rocking 6 cores, 12 threads, so it'll be able to handle basically any game at 1080p. And even some light photo or video editing. I picked mine up for only $47.84, but I bought it on Newegg through a combo deal. They usually pair it with a decent B550 motherboard with onboard Wi-Fi. I decided to use the motherboard for a better CPU and then divided the price. You can also just use the motherboard from the bundle. On its own, the CPU will typically be $70 to $80. I really recommend buying through the combos to save money. If you have more to spend, you can really get any other Ryzen 5000 series CPU and it will be better. The 5600 and 5600X are great options, and for a used alternative, I recommend both the Ryzen 5 3600 and the 3600X. They perform pretty much the same as the 5500, just older is all, but you can pick up one of those CPUs for 50 bucks. Just check online through eBay or local marketplaces. Whatever Ryzen 5 you go with, the cooling will be about the same with a low TDP of 65 watts, so you can get away with using the stock cooler, but I'll be selling this computer on my website. So I want to add this tower cooler for some better cooling potential, a little more detail, and will even be able to handle a slight CPU upgrade later down the line. For the extra $20 or so, it is a solid choice, but if you are on a tight budget, which is respectable, then the stock cooler will indeed blow some air around and save you some money. To really start the build, I'm grabbing this mother from ASRock, the B450M AC R2.0. Now it's kind of like the CPU, it won't do anything crazy, but it will get the job done. I say that because it's not Gen 4 and basically has no VRM cooling. However, it can still hold RAM. Not that I want to pay for the RAM to fill it up, but it's nice to have the option with 4 slots. Also has 2 M.2 slots, more expensive holes to fill, along with a not so shabby rear IO to plug in your keyboard and mouse. I ended up buying this on Newegg for only $47.84. I recommend you buy whatever AM4 motherboard you can find that's not super expensive. For the best option, go for a B550 model, and for the most affordable option, go with a B450 model like I did. For the RAM, despite what you're seeing with DDR5 pricing, this actually wasn't crazy expensive. Even a basic 16GB kit of DDR4, not even DDR5, will still set you back around $120. Luckily, the kit I bought is 16GB at 3200 megahertz, and I only paid $48.52, way better than current market prices, and I'll take the savings. And I'm just realizing now, I've been saying the same price over and over again. I think I messed up somewhere. I was able to find this RAM deal through my Discord server, which has an eBay bot. It'll notify you if it finds good deals. It's linked down below if you want to join. I think it could be really helpful if you're trying to save some money on your next PC build. I also used it to find this next deal. SSDs and storage in general have gone up in price. I mean, I was buying new 1TB M.2s for $60 in 2025, but with some deal hunting on the secondhand market, you can still pull some solid deals. Or if you're just on my Discord server, you might get notified like I did. This 1TB NVMe listing popped up for $54.91. With the money I saved compared to a new SSD, I can buy it in and out a few times and be far happier than a new 1TB SSD. I'm all for buying secondhand components to save some money, but there's one part that I'll almost always buy 100% brand new. The house, if you will. The PC case is actually a pretty important choice to me. Although lately I haven't been happy with the current options on the market. It just seems like everything is a rinse and repeat of the past release, and there has been no major design or feature changes between any of the companies. I think they all sit in the same board meetings. I say all that to then show you a basic case from NZXT. Yeah, I know. I went with the H3 Float in this purple colorway. It's a standard METX layout with a mesh front, nice ventilation on the power supply basement, and a tempered glass panel. One downside is the lack of fans. Only one is included, but the case is only $50. It's super clean and has above average build quality. I'll let the lack of fans slide, but I'm adding 3 for additional air blowing action and increased lights, because why not? To keep the build somewhat cohesive and to power all the parts, I'm going with this white power supply. The Apivia Prestige 600 watt is an 80 plus gold sub $60 unit from Amazon, and have used it nearly 50 times with no issues. It has an octopus on the end, but all the cables you'll need: 24 pin for the motherboard, dual 8 pin for the CPU, and 4 8 pins for the GPU power. Plenty of juice. In the GPU I went with, we only need 1 8 pin. As I said earlier, I had 3 options to decide between for this build. The middle option is around $175 to $210 depending on the deals you find, and that is the RTX 3060 Ti with 8 gigs of VRAM, or even the 12 gigabyte model is around that price range. The top option is around $190 to $230 depending on the deals, and that's the RTX 3070, also with 8 gigs of VRAM. The most affordable option is around $150, but again, it depends on what deals you find. I personally paid $123, and it's the AMD RX 6600. The 6600 XT would also be a great option for about $175. Released in 2021, the VRAM wasn't anything crazy then, and especially now, 8 gigs is pushing it with most games, unfortunately being unoptimized. It's about the minimum I'd recommend for a starter PC. In terms of performance, it's on par with the base model RTX 3060, both with 8 gigs and really similar performance across games. The only difference that I think is even worth mentioning is the 3060 has the better NVENC encoder for work like rendering a video and live streaming. I don't have one to compare, but I will compare the 3 GPU options I do have in some of the benchmarks. I'm pretty happy with the part selection, especially with the price I paid. Based on the current market, I believe this is a really good value PC build. If you would change anything about it, leave some feedback down below. It's all welcome, so drop a comment. I'm quickly going to show you how to build this PC, then I'll go over the performance. If you already know how to build a computer, then go ahead and skip to this timestamp, or you can use the video chapters. Start by grabbing the CPU, and you'll notice a triangle in this corner right here. Now grab the motherboard, and you'll notice a triangle in this corner here on the CPU socket. Undo this lever here by pulling it to the side and up. Then those triangles on the CPU and motherboard, you just line those up. The CPU should drop into place with no force, and then you can lower the lever to lock it in. If it doesn't go into the socket, then pack it up and go to bed. Nah, it's probably just not lined up correctly, or worst case, you have a few bent pins. Make sure you are lowering it straight into the socket from the start, and you'll be chilling in no time. To install a month's worth of groceries, aka RAM, you need to use your eyeballs. Notice the notches in the bottom of the RAM and take a mental screenshot, and then look at the RAM slots on the motherboard itself. They have similar notches. On the ends of the slots, you'll find these latches that move up and down. You want it unlocked, which is in the down position. Now play a little game of puzzle and line up the notches. This has to be straight, so make sure it's lined up correctly. Firmly push it down into place, and I say firmly because it uses a little more force than I ever imagined it would when I built my first PC. But you just want to push it until you hear it click into place. Do that for both sticks, or 4 if you're just balling like that. Installing the storage is easy. If you went with a SATA drive, then you'll install it later on in the case, but if you went with an M.2 drive like I did, you want to install it in this slot, and just like the RAM, line it up. I'm sure you remember, assuming at the very least you know your name. Although the angle you insert it in is important. Go for a 45-degree angle, just don't jam it in straight, and once it clicks in, you'll be good to screw it into place. To finish off the mother, I'm going to install the CPU cooler, good old ID Cooling SE214. I've used it so many times, I just know how to install it now, so it's one of my favorites. For AM4 and AM5, you want to do what I'm doing, and you can save this other hardware if you ever switch to Intel. Start unscrewing and removing the original mounting. Keep the backplate under the motherboard though. Take these little bits and bobs from the cooler hardware and screw them into the original backplate. Take this little arm piece and this nut, which is Phillips, or you could even use a flathead. Place the arm pointing outwards and do a whole lot of screwing. Go in a star pattern to keep it even until it's tight. Apply your thermal paste, peel the sticker, place it straight down, aligning both sides, and do some more screw action. Go back and forth so the cooler mounts with even pressure. To install the fan, just grab these metal clips, insert it into the fan, and clip it onto the heatsink. You can plug in the fan cable now, but I don't because I end up routing it through the case. Speaking of, grab your case and take both the side panels off. Go ahead and set them in the box for peace of mind. Take this cardboard box out, it has all the screws you need. Then grab your I/O shield from your motherboard, it goes at the rear, just click it into place. And for the tedious part, just don't drop the motherboard or scrape the underside when placing it in the case. PC building is pretty straightforward in general, but after your first time, it's really easy, as long as you can retain information at some level. I say that because it's a lot of the same thing over and over. Just like the M.2 SSD where you insert it at an angle, you do the same for the motherboard. Make sure the standoffs and I/O ports are lined up and not blocked by anything. Grab these screws from that cardboard box and get to it. Don't be lazy and skip any screws. I also went ahead and installed those extra fans, as well as swapping the fan out on the CPU cooler so it all matches. I did this before plugging in the front panel and power supply cables, so I have more room. It can be tedious to wire up all the cables, but it's actually fairly simple. For the front panel, this is the USB 3 and it goes here. These are designed to go in one way. Line up this notch with the cutout on the header and push until you hear it click. This is the front panel connectors like power button and reset switch, but it's all in one connector instead of having separate cables like other cases. Like everything else, it plugs in one way here at the bottom right. This is for USB Type-C, but the motherboard I went with doesn't have the header for it, so I don't have to worry about it. To install the power supply, it goes here at the bottom. Usually you'll want to install it with the fan facing down to intake fresh air, but in some cases it'll be the other way. Like in the H3 Flow, you want it with the fan facing up. The bottom is solid, so it intakes air from the ventilated basement. After securing it with 4 screws, you plug in the 24-pin cable here, push until you hear it click. It's designed one way, so make sure it's lined up. Same thing for the CPU power, which is this cable with 2 8-pins. You just need one for this build. Line it up and click it into place in the top left corner. Go ahead and pre-route the GPU cable so it's ready, and it'll say PCIe on it. And to complete this sub $600 masterpiece, we just have to install the GPU. Line up this PCIe slot with these bracket covers here. My GPU is 2 slots, so I'm removing the 2 that line up with the PCIe slot. Push this little locking mechanism downwards, grab your GPU, and line it up straight like a barber. Push it into the slot until you hear it click, and then plug in the PCIe cable that you already routed. Screw the bracket into place, and just like that, the build is done. Ignoring the lack of cable management, it looks pretty sweet. Here's a better look at it. Building in the case was pretty solid overall, and plenty of room for tidying up the cables. I'm really digging the contrast between the GPU and the rest of the components. It's a solid little build. Drop a like if you agree.
I've been testing this build for a little while and I'm happy with it. Fits on the desk nice and well. Temps are perfect. Noise levels are silent. And the FPS numbers are great across games. A build of this caliber is definitely tailored towards 1080p gaming with medium to high settings, or even drop them down to low for higher FPS and esport games. To give you a better idea, let me just show you some benchmarks from this PC. In Call of Duty Warzone, it averaged 117 FPS with a 1% low of 83. I used AMD FSR3, texture resolution was set to high, detail quality set to high, and everything else was on normal or off. In Arc Raiders, AMD FSR was set to balance, Dynamic RT was at medium, and for the main settings, I selected the high preset. It dished out an average FPS of 77 with a 1% low of 49. In Fortnite, I just did performance mode with all low settings, and we ended up averaging 223 FPS, and the 1% low was 93. In Cyberpunk, I ran the built-in benchmarking tool with the Ultra preset, and the RX 6600 averaged 71 FPS, and this is where I also compared the 3060 Ti and the 3070. 3060 Ti averaged 99, 3070 at 110. It is kind of a big jump between the 6600 and 3060 Ti. As I said, the base model 3060 8GB is more on par with the RX 6600, but it still gives you a pretty good idea of the general performance that you can expect from this GPU. I would say it held up pretty well. In Red Dead Redemption 2, I also used the built-in benchmarking tool, went with high settings, TAA was also at high, and I used no upscaling. The RX 6600 with an average FPS of 79, RTX 3060 Ti with an average FPS of 106, and the RTX 3070 at 116. All three of the cards performed really well. Like I said, it just depends on the amount you pay for the GPUs. If you're really good at finding deals, then I'd obviously recommend going with the 3070. If you can pick it up for under $200, that would be a really good buy and definitely worth your dollar. But if you're not the best at deal hunting, just pick up the RX 6600 for under $150 and you'll be happy. I would say this is a solid build for the money and it has a great upgrade path thanks to AM4, but I should also say the $600 price is subjective. Prices can get worse or they may get better. You may find a great deal or you might find just an alright deal on some of the parts. I know it may seem impossible to build an affordable computer, but it just takes some time. However, if you just want a pre-built PC that's ready to game, I'm selling this exact computer on my website at elijahslab.shop. Go and check all the links down below in the description. But that's it for me. Smash a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.